Greetings, everyone. It's Reed here. I'm up in the lovely morning time. Sun's coming over, beating right in my eyes, but at least it lights me up pretty good. Hopefully you can see me pretty well. Got some gardening watering away in the back because it's nice and morning. It's a good time to water, actually. Watering your garden in the morning is actually quite good, especially out here in the desert. Watering your corn in the evening is a great way to get ears infested with mold. Don't do it. It's a really bad idea. So if you hear people say, you're in the desert, you need to water at dusk. Yeah. It also spreads a lot of other problems when you water really late or at dusk, because as the dew point drops and all that, it seems like we have this mildew or something like that just loves to get in and kill things, especially if you mulch things up. It just doesn't work very well. It's better to do it very early in the morning. So that's what I try to do. Or if nothing else, I will get some at lunch. Or if I can't get then even at lunch, it'll be right at 5 and I'll get it done. And the plants will be happy, but then I'll have to get it early in the morning to catch it up for a little while. So I try to stay on schedule. Try is the ultimate word. Now, that's something else to think about is, I'm just this random guy here doing things, telling you about things. Don't think I'm perfect. Don't even think I'm organized. Don't even think I've got everything together. Because no one's ready, as I always say, for shtf. And I just keep doing what I can. And just keep working away at it. And that's the best we can do. Just keep working away at it. Don't get discouraged. Don't get completely bugged by everything that's going on. Just keep working at it. And that is what will help bring a lot of success. Now, today I have a particular video. And since we have around 400 and something subscribers, and the base of people here, I've actually really enjoyed talking with. The comments are always quite intelligent. We have nice, rational, reasonable discussions about things. So it's a good time to bring some of these things up. And I'm sure some people are going to be like, Reed, you're out of your frickin' mind, you nutcase. That's all right. You can call me a nutcase. And I probably am partially out of my mind. But I like to think. Now, a lot of times you hear people say, get out of the cities. You're all going to perish in the cities. It's the end of the world in the city. It's sort of a common knowledge in the prepper world. And in fact, I think it's sort of mainstream is, all these movies, those social-lively things, they show the cities as these desolate wastelands and everyone is going to terrorize you and tear everything apart. Going to the city is like a death sentence, right? It's sort of a common knowledge through everyone thinking about that. And then, of course, the other knowledge is, hey, we need to go where resources are plenty. We need to go out hunting. We need to go out fishing. We need to go all that other stuff, right? It's sort of part of the OSHA common knowledge. So where are people going to head? Really, think about that. Where are people aiming to head? And there's a lot of places. When you think about, say, like a city of New York, what is it, 20 million people, 30 million people? I don't know. Something like that. You have this huge pile of people living there. And they all emptied out. And say they had a range, effectively, that these millions of people are going to empty out. And they're probably going to go, like 120 miles around there, just flooding the area around it. For people living around in those outside areas, can you imagine how bad it's going to be? Their plans for hunting, their plans for gardening, all this other stuff. And they're just going to get flooded with people. You're going to have people with caravans packing up for other places that are known having farmlands. They're going to think about the farmlands of the Midwest. Flyover country. We got to head there. There's food, resources, hunting. We need to go there. All these people flooding out to that area. Millions upon millions, right? So we have a population around, 320 million people, I think, is one of the estimates I've heard recently. That sounds about right. I think it's 340 million, something like that. Now, 80% of the population lives inside major metropolitan areas. So 80% of 320 million people flooding into the countryside, flooding into where they expect resources, food, and everything else are going to be. You think you're going to be able to handle that? Honestly, it's a question, right? So let's switch gears slightly, but back here, when we talk about the Korean War, the Chinese would send so many people across with that, and the Koreans, so many people, that the people managing their, pillboxes, their trenches, and all this stuff, were run out of ammo All these people piled up dead bodies, and these people would still keep coming. And then they just get overrun and killed. There were that many people flooding into the area. Think about that, though. I mean, these people say, oh, you need to have 10,000 rounds of ammunition stocked up. Okay, so if you say 1% of the population is preppers, and they have, let's say, 40,000 rounds of ammunition, right? And you have this massive flood of people. Say 300,000 come into your area. You going to be able to stop them? Interesting question, isn't it? I mean, what's your team size, right? How many are in your group? 20? 20 people, maybe? That's a pretty good size, strong group, right? Over, say, 200,000, 300,000 people flooding your area? Boy, that's a big, big problem, right? The golden horde mounting in towards you, a giant horde, tearing up everything in its path, consuming everything like giant locusts. There will be nothing left. And something to think about that. And then, of course, you hear the people saying, hey, you come over here, all that stuff. We're going to get together. We're going to mount a defense, and we're going to shoot everyone. No one's getting in. We're going to kill them all. Okay. Interesting strategy. You've now made yourself a prime target. I tell you hear about resistance in some place. People are going to ask, what are they protecting? Secondly, people are saying, we got to get these people. They're killing all these people. We got to get them. You kind of don't want to stand out that way. That's my thought on that anyways. The other thing is, what's really interesting to me is, you hear these religious people saying that, speaking on a similar thing on that theme, right? And they're talking about, preaching, being God's children, being Christians, followers of Christ and all that stuff, and they're talking in this way. And so they're saying, it's righteous for us to defend ourselves and protect us. Right? Okay, sure. I can get behind that. But then, what about the people seeking food, water, shelter, protecting their families, reaching out for that? Is it not righteous of them to seek out resources to live on? What if they're also followers of Christ, believers in God and everything else? And they believe God is telling them, hey, we must take over this area and we must use the resources we can find. It is what has been commanded to us by God. See, I'm trying to point out some of the issues I have with what people are talking about out there in the world. And it's an interesting thing in our community. I mean, we all like to talk, and there's a huge amount of people that come to this from the military perspective. And a lot of the military stuff comes from the perspective of, us versus them. We are the defending force. They're the Op 4. We got to protect this area. And it's going to work on that mindset from the very stuff like that. Now, I don't come from that area. And for some of you that know me, that we've talked on the phone, you kind of know where I come from and stuff like that. I'm more of a underhanded type of person, where how things work and stuff like that. And see, a lot of these people, when they're talking about planning stuff like that, we'll set up these places to meet people. We'll set up these places to meet and greet people, stuff like that, and all these other things. I mean, they're talking about, like, one of those guys out there, he says, yeah, you've got to do patrols to maintain everything. Oh yeah, patrols very important and stuff. To maintain, keep an eye on what's going on and everything else. And to know what's going on, got to do that. Okay. So if you're going to deal with watching patrols, keep an eye on that, how big is your group? And how many people are out patrolling? And what is your operational area? What is the size? I mean, the size is going to directly determine your ability to communicate, unless you've got relay stations set up. But I tell you, that's also going to be a double-edged sword, is you can have an opposing force listening on the communication, seeing where the chatter is. They may not understand the codes, but they can triangulate the positions. They can triangulate the radios. They can triangulate where the repeater stations are. Don't underestimate that that's going to happen. Now, if I was a person that was interested in gathering intelligence and going after a place, one thing I would definitely do is I would start setting off the perimeter alarms like crazy. Determine how the response is. Determine what it is. And just start beating on those like crazy. I don't need a huge force to do this with either. I can be tiny. 4 people. With some good skills and some nice thinking behind us. And we go in and we just set things off constantly. over and over again. And we are the needle in the haystack. Now, the other thing, though, is we don't have to be us setting them off. Like I said, people flooding areas. If I was out in the mix of everyone else, I would be hurting people by giving them information, giving them leads, saying, hey, I heard about blah and blah, and send them out to go set off the perimeter alarms. Let them be the people that run across these opposing forces and see what the heck they're doing. And then I'm going to monitor the communications. I'm going to see how they respond. I'm going to do it again and again. I'm going to run them ragged. Absolutely ragged. And then as they're going out further trying to deal with these problems and mount things like that, got a good idea of what kind of force maintains. And then, real easy to overwhelm it. Now, I don't need to get into super deep details of what you would do because I don't want to give people bad ideas. Now, I have no interest in being out in the mix of all that stuff. None. So that brings me to the real point of why I'm making this oddball video talking about this while I'm watering the garden out here in the desert. The harsh, ugly desert. Now, I'll be a little more specific where I'm at because I think, it'd be helpful for people to know, get an idea. I'm out here in New Mexico. And then, of course, the sister state to New Mexico that's very similar in how we live in our agriculture and everything else is Arizona and stuff. Now, there's a lot of agriculture that goes on around here. It takes work. It's hard. But many people in past times have sustained themselves through horrible, hideous things out here in the desert. Now, how many people out there, when you think, oh, it's time to run for the hills, the cities are coming apart, we got to get out of here, are going to say, let's go to the desert? How many people you think are going to think, yeah, that's a good idea? Not many, right? And see, it's a people problem. And I have a lot of time reconciling some of the morality of people trying to preserve and protect their families, seeking out food and resources, versus me trying to protect my family, so that's food and resources, and say, yeah, one's more righteous than the other. Not really, don't really see an easy answer there. So my answer to not be in that fight is that I'm not going to be there. So that's why I'm here in the desert. No man's land. I'm trying to stop a people problem. And I see it as a really, really big problem. Now, I do have a people problem. I mean, I live in a small town. Town here of about 6,000 or so people, right? Not everyone's prepared, it's like that, but it's going to be more manageable. Plus, there's a lot of people in this community that are very well in the community, shall we say. There's some long-running families here. Also, my little small town here, see, like I actually live at the end of a cul-de-sac, at the end of a dead-end road, go off in the end, right, and I'm at the very end. And it's kind of funny, is that the town built these little subdivisions up in a couple spots, and I'm in one of those ones that's on the end of town. There's nothing else around it, and I got acres and acres of open land all around me, except for a couple neighbors on the street. And then a couple streets over. There's like 3 streets, we got houses, and then there's nothing. Which worked out for my plan. I actually got really lucky in a couple ways. And then, of course, people have chickens. Like my neighbors actually have a bunch of chickens, and I'm going to get some chickens from them. They've got some hen that got real broody. They got a rooster, and they're, reproducing chickens. And, hey, they offered me some chickens. I'm going to get a coop set up and get started on that. I've been meaning to do it. Now I've even got a better reason to do it. Great idea, right? And then, of course, there's people that have goats. I've seen that plenty of times. I've seen some oddball other livestock. I think I've seen some sheep. I've definitely seen sheep. It's like that. There's other people who keep cows. Lots of people have gardens. Well, not gardens, farms. I mean, there's real farms all over the place in here. And it's real funny. You'll see, like, subdivision developed and then, like, farmland. Huge farmland. And then more houses and stuff. A lot of people have horses, all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, smell of manure, yeah, that's how it smells out here in the morning. Like I said, small town, rural America, right? But that's the point is, people are not going to be running out here. I mean, one of the other things, though, it's kind of interesting is, like, if everything goes belly up, grid down, shtf, everything's come apart, and, water's off at the city. Lots of people are going to be going, this is desert. We need water. And they're going to leave town. They're going to head to other locations. So that's going to drop off. I mean, you're going to have people hanging around, staying, because there's lots of people with wells. Like, I got a well myself. and stuff. That was an interesting story. I'll have to go on about that. But see, that's my point, though. Is I don't want to be there with the fights. I don't want to dig in like this stuff. So I'm here in this harsh land. And my goal is to get a bunch of people together, and we're going to settle things up. I mean, I'm getting ready to buy a bunch more land here and put all together and have an area where we can call ours to make it through whatever's coming. Because I definitely see it as what's coming, not an if, more of a very much a when. And Gen X and below, I am certain we're going to live through one heck of a world-changing event. I don't know what it is. Don't call me a prophet, as I like to say. I'm just saying I'm definitely certain something's coming. And I've got a lot of ideas, things like that we'll talk about in deep detail and stuff like that. What I wanted to really bring this up is think about where people generally think resources, food, water, all this stuff is, right? And you've got 80% of 320 million people are going to say, we need those resources. And that's where they're going to go. If you're in a place that is not thought of as resources, you're in a place that's considered harsh, it's a big, big natural barrier to keeping people out. And that's really important. Now, I've had some comments. I've had someone mention, bugging out in the desert long term is a stupid idea. Yeah, it probably is a stupid idea. Sure, you can call it stupid all you want. What I like to say is it's challenging. And I'm a person that loves challenges. And I would not have succeeded nearly as well in life as where I got by giving up on challenges. I am the kind of guy that where the most ugly, horrible problems end up on my desk, and I have the reputation of being able to solve them. So that's where my sort of background is on that. So challenges, I keep working at them. It's like I keep working on my garden, stuff like that. And I keep doing stuff like that. And we're going to go to the farm later. I'll show you how one of the farms work, the stuff where I do things with. And I'm going to model a lot of that stuff going on around here so I can grow enough food for myself and other people here as well. And then, of course, on a bigger pile of land. And by setting things up, getting everything ready here, before it all happens, I will be set. And then as things calm down, sort out, stuff like that, like even with, say we have several years of food, water, medical supplies, all that other stuff, we're set for several years. And we run into major problems here. After the first year, we could seek out other lands, and things will probably be a little more calm, possibly. But that's sort of more of a worst case scenario to leave. Better case scenario is I'm definitely certain we can make this work. Sure, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a ton of effort. But people in the past have done it before. I just have to rediscover how to do it. And I'm learning. I'm learning quickly. And I keep expanding, getting things bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'll show you more stuff going on here and everything else. That's the key thing. Staging it out now and gathering the skills I need so I can make this work. Now, of course, if everything went really bad in the area, like, I don't know, an asteroid impact or something, right? Volcanoes going off or whatever, and I had to leave the area, yeah, I have agreements with other people out there, and I could take off and go to them, go to family members, all sorts of stuff. Not wedded, specifically, but as a good defense against the people problem, I like the harsh land. Now I'm going to start doing a lot of videos about small town America surviving, or small town desert America surviving, so like that, modeled after Steve at Corsair Trainers, and his link will be up here or over here, one of the two, talking about this stuff because he makes a lot of really good points about urban survival. Well, I figured, why don't we do something else about this crazy place where I'm at? How are we going to get things going here? Especially, since I have agreements with other people saying, come on over here. It may be hard, difficult, or anything else, but you have a place and you're welcome. It'd be good to practice and get together and organize and plan all this stuff and test more things, get theories. I got a lot to do. I always got lots to do. But anyways, I just wanted to throw some reality on some conversation here to get you guys thinking about this. That people problem, it's an ugly problem. And as much as all these people talk about, oh yeah, we're going to shoot them all and let God sort it out, I don't think it's going to go the way they expect it to. It's also like I don't think things are going to go the way entirely I expect them to out here. I may be inundated with a lot more people than I expect. But I do think the area is a natural barrier and will really help cut down on the people problem. But I'm certain there will be plenty of surprises. No matter what anyone else says out there, none of us are going to be ready for a world-changing event. Not a single one of us alive. Just not possible. We have too many normalcy biases and too many blind spots. We just need to be adaptable and make certain we can get over any problems that happen. Well, anyways, that's my morning philosophy. I gotta finish up the watering, get some breakfast, and get to work. Have a great day, everyone. This is Reed. Out for now.